God, we're
Yeah, there's
live.
about 2 viewers, me and Steve. So I'm here with Steven Bronson from Robot Butt. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty well.
It's going very well. Thank you, Brad.
So tell me, what is Robot Butt?
Well, Bronson, you want to take this?
It is a comedy website, and that's it.
I have started to think of it as a comedy collective.
I think the best description of it was that that Reddit commenter who called it the lazy man's Onion meets BuzzFeed.
Now, what do you think? What makes it the lazy man's Onion?
Well, I think the only thing that people would say it's the lazy man is because the Onion, for I don't know, however long it's been around, has cornered the market on satirical news and done it so well that it's like this belief that no one else is allowed to even consider doing it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's from what we've learned from doing this, at least I have, is there are countless fake news sites out there that do, whatever, either they have a niche that they do or they try to copy the Onion or whatever. I mean, I don't want to sound like a total dick, but I mean, I don't think all of them are all that great. I think what we do is pretty good, and I think what's different about Robot Butt in terms of the Onion is that the Onion is rooted a lot in reality. They do a lot of their political ones. They'll do very real life news, and I think ours is a little more fantastical. It's a little weirder, a little more offbeat. So, I don't. It's just a part of what we do, but I think it's good. I think it's great.
Do you do you think that, do you have a conscious ever thought to try to differentiate yourself from the Onion, or are you just trying to do whatever you think is funny?
Definitely whatever we think is funny. Not that we would ever rip the Onion off. But.
Yeah, I've always thought of it as I'd rather us just write or make videos or do whatever we do, that whatever we think is funny, and then just kind of let the chips fall where they may is kind of how I've approached it, where I don't ever want to say, well, unless it's a specific joke that's been done before, I don't want to ever not do something because it's a style emulated somewhere else. I think what we do is a little bit different than those other places, but whatever's funny to me, I would put up, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing for us is just this started because we thought it would be fun to write some jokes. We had just been in G-chats for ages, both working in our offices, oh, wouldn't this be funny, fake news article. And we would just send those back and forth, and we're finally oh, man, wouldn't it be great if we had a comedy site that we could do something with all these? And so the idea has just always been is this fun to do? Not is there an audience for it, or are people going to like it? Just does it make us laugh? And if it does, we'll just, I don't know, joke around about it.
It's pretty much, it's the same mentality we had when we were making our comedy sketches in college and back in high school and stuff. I mean, we never made those for anything other than just to put them up and see what our friends thought of it. So it's yeah, it's the same concept where we're just kind of goofing off, and whatever happens out of it happens.
And now we just happen to be wildly famous from it.
So talk to me about that.
Well, it's funny because I've always thought, going back to even high school and especially in college, that I've always been lucky enough to have this super talented group of friends, and what is cool about Robot Butt is that we're able to kind of tap into all those different markets of talent that we know. So the reason that Chris Rock thing came about with the Oscars was I have a friend who works out.
So give us some backstory on that.
What Chris Rock thing is that, Steve? What are you talking about?
I assume that we all were in on this. I read the prep notes on this. I have a friend who works out in Los Angeles, and he
La La
is
Land or Tinseltown, as you might know it, Brad.
Yes, where the magic happens. Yes.
Enough name dropping, okay?
So my friend has worked on the Oscars for a few years, and he is at another job right now, and he knew someone that worked on the production, and just word kind of trickled down a few ways, and one day he texted me and was like, "Hey, you want to break some news?" I said, "Yeah, sure, all right. I mean, this would fit on Robot Butt. Why not?" And it just came about where he's like, "Oh, okay, my source says that it's going to be Chris Rock. They tried out a couple other people, it didn't work out, whatever." Gave me like a few other things that I was using to write the article, and I just like wrote it up and put it out, and then like tweeted it to like the editor of Variety and a few other places, and was like, whatever. If it happens, it happens. And then like the next afternoon, he called me and was like, "Hey, go read Variety's homepage." And like to Variety's credit, they did their digging and like confirmed it, and then sourced some site called
With
Robot
only a
Butt.
minor typo and
Yes.
no link.
No link and a minor typo, but I would have to argue it's still extremely sweet of Variety to be like, "Yeah, all right, we'll
Oh,
throw
it's
this."
incredible because also
Yeah.
our article is like we didn't actually name any sources. For all they knew, it was like we wrote an article about how funny it would be if Chris Rock hosted. Like,
Yeah. What I did was I did call the Academy that afternoon when I wrote it, and left a message for the like CEO of the Academy. 'Cause,
Mr.
like,
Is that
Academy,
number of the page?
Mr. Oscar. It's like,
hello, is Oscar there?
I'd like to speak to Oscar. Well, it's actually like weirdly accessible to where I called their main line and went, "Is Beth? I can't remember her name. Is Beth there?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, just one moment." And then they just connected me to her voicemail. So it was like very easy to get in there. And so I did my due diligence. I called them and tried to confirm the story, but I still ran it like it was nothing. And
So, but when you run that, how does that story get taken seriously on a comedy website?
well, luckily we haven't always just done pure satire. We have written like we have some people who like to write more editorial stuff. We've written like we've written like some.
Well, and actually,
stuff.
one of our more popular or more well-viewed articles was that tip from you, Brad, about the that Seinfeld, that Upright Citizens Brigade sketch, Seinfeld sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were lucky to where, like, we've written stuff that isn't just purely like a joke, and so it was taken a little seriously from that angle. I'd like to do more, non-satirical stuff, but it's sometimes more fun to like I don't want to just be a news regurgitator like so many other sites are. That, I mean, granted, it brings them a ton of traffic and stuff, but I mean, that's not really what we got into it for, is to like turn it into just like another like crappy news.
We're not in it for the traffic. The fewer people that visit our site, the better.
Yeah. The more we can alienate people, I think is best.
You were going somewhere with that Chris Rock story before I made you tell the entire backstory, and I
Oh,
forget
right.
now where that
We're
was.
famous now.
Right.
What is the question?
No, I was trying to remember what you were going down some track with the Chris Rock story, and I forget where that was before we got into the backstory of it.
It might have been the backstory. It might have been like.
Well,
just
but now,
how-
Steve, we're super famous with this Huffington Post thing.
Yes, that's true.
And I think I don't know for sure, but I've got to attribute a lot of that to this Chris Rock thing.
So what's the Huffington Post thing?
Well, the Huffington Post thing is every now and then I get motivated to like try and like sell us to different sites and stuff.
Well, I
and-
think it's worth saying that Steve is an actual reporter for the AP,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
so he
Yeah.
does like know his way around some of this stuff.
Yeah. Wow, Bronson, that's real nice of you.
That sounds like a handy skill set to have on the staff.
Yeah, and actually, it's pretty insane credibility to say that you're with the Associated Press. I've used it countless times to where I'm not writing anything for the AP, and I just throw it out there, and you're treated with like an insane amount of respect when you throw that out there. No one even questions it. They're just like, yeah, all right, man, cool.
That's probably how you get through the best voicemail.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I might have said I was with the AP. That's possible. I did. You know what? I did in the message I left her. I said I was with the Associated Press. And she still didn't call me back because she most likely knows the AP people and knew I was here. So the Huffington Post thing was, for the longest time, ever since we started, I had been hunting down the editor of Huffington Post Comedy.
Oh man, the Twitter messages I would like oversee. They were just so desperate. Sometimes.
Oh, they were. I mean, they were just dripping with just like absurd desperation. It was really sad, and like she never answered, never once answered me. I sent her multiple emails, I sent her tweets and stuff, and it just never caught up. And I randomly like checked again to see if she was like, I saw that she left, and then I checked again to see if someone new had taken over, and it was some guy, and I found his email and shot him a message, and he responded like within a week, and was like, oh yeah, dude, we'll make you a writer on Huffington Post Comedy, because HuffPo, they don't pay anybody, they just like bring in other people to kind of write their content and stuff, but the traffic is out of this world, so everyone kind of puts up with it. But he was like, yeah, I'll make you a writer. And I said, well, you also have this footer where you've got like links to different comedy sites. Would it be okay if we got on there? And he was like, oh, I'll have to let you know on that. And then like it was 2 weeks after the Chris Rock thing, he said, hey, good news, I got you added on the thing. And it was like, oh, all right. I would assume that it had it had to have something to do with that. Because that's like insane credibility to get, tweeted and sourced by like Variety and stuff like that. And like, sure enough, the next day he said that it was up on the footer. And I mean, it's like little wins like that kind of like lend credibility to the site, because there are probably a million different comedy sites out there trying to do, their own thing, and like there's only a handful on that thing that are recognized as, being legit, including The Onion and BuzzFeed and McSweeney's and a few others. So.
And Robot Butt.
And then, yeah, and Robot Butt. And Robot Butt.
Have you seen a significant spike in traffic since being added to that footer?
We've seen like, which I think is still pretty amazing, a handful of traffic every day from Huffington Post, and so.
What I'm more curious about is how like a month or two from now it's going to affect our search engine traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because to get a quality link like that is going to affect us across the board. So, I mean, it's wild.
So, how many total people do you have working on Robot Butt? Is there like a set staff that you have?
There is. There's like 5 of us that are always on. We have like a Slack channel or a Slack account for Robot Butt, and I think it's 5 of us on there. And then there'll be some guest stars that pop in and out.
Yeah, but I think that's the reason that we've been able to kind of grow and be successful in the last year, especially seeing our organic traffic jump up the way it has and everything, is because we've got like what is it, 5, 6 people? Who knows? That are like
6 until Shay had that stupid baby.
That's true. Yeah, Shay's baby tried to break up the group, but we held strong, and we have like 5 people who literally were on every single day during the week, and we're coming up with ideas and just joking around, and like out of jokes come ideas, and like.
Well, and that's the best part, because like when we first started, it was just Steve and I, and so like one of us would write a headline and maybe an article with it, and we would just send it to the other person, and we would just get feedback from them. And now we all put our articles on this Slack channel, and we all critique it and add more jokes, and I think the quality has just improved so much because of it.
Yeah. So what is the editing process like? If someone puts a article up and someone makes a change to one of the jokes, but maybe the original author doesn't like the change, how does somebody have the final say? Who's the I guess the final editor?
Well, I'm only the final editor in terms of the grammar and like just the overall look of the post. I mean, Bronson and I both will put in like pictures. We'll add in the post. We'll make sure it looks good to go. If we're going to change a joke or something, I try not to just change it and not let the person know. Like we'll put it on the Slack channel and say like, hey, I'm thinking of changing this. Is that cool?
Yeah, I think for the most part it's like, oh, what about this joke? And then somebody else who's not an author or an editor say, oh, what about this? And for the most part, the author is like, yeah, give me all the jokes you got, because coming up with jokes is really hard.
Is it tough? Kind of, you're just kind of writing these jokes. You're not like in a room talking to each other about it, right? You're kind of doing this all online. It's not face to face. How hard is it to kind of get feedback in that medium versus in face to face, where you can say something and get a laugh if it is funny?
I think it's actually easier because you have a little more time to like craft what you're going to say, what you're going to write.
And I think it's a hell of a lot easier with Slack. I mean, I'd like to get some money from Slack for pimping it out so much, but like, it honestly like changed everything, because we used to just do like email threads, and then I was doing some freelance project, and they were using Slack, and I was like, oh, we can just use this for RobotButt, and it's been insane because it's like being face to face. It's real time, and you can really have a discussion on it. So it's not like you're waiting 25 minutes for an email. It's pretty close. I mean, I think we're pretty generous with our laughs on Slack, with the amount of ha-ha-has that we put in there. So you can usually you can gauge what kind of hearty laugh it might be in person. So it's been helpful.
Have you found a certain type of article or to work especially well?
Well, honestly, no. I mean, it's really hit or miss sometimes. I mean, we've written some that we thought would never do anything, and then they blow up, and we've written some that I thought were like surefire hits that just like kind of petered out. But
yeah.
It's
and so much of it does feel pretty random. So like one of our most trafficked pages is that one you did, Steve. That like, what was that model's name? Miranda.
Oh, yeah, Miranda Kerr.
Miranda Kerr, and it was just because it did really well on StumbleUpon for whatever reason.
Yeah, it got picked up on StumbleUpon that one day, and it just like blew up into like 10,000 or whatever views from that one post because of StumbleUpon, and then like I think it did well on Reddit maybe too. And
I mean, I think I would have to say the pop culture stuff probably does the best, because we also have that
just having that name Miranda Kerr out there kind of gives you that instant traffic.
Yeah.
Right. One of our most popular that we've done recently, I've noticed in terms of search engine traffic, was we did a post of like all the different things you can unlock on Tony Hawk.
Oh yeah.
The new Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and like we get a ton of traffic of people like looking for like tips and tricks and stuff, and like
you know what one actually gets a surprising amount of search engine traffic is that one Brian did forever ago as Jake Grifter, and it was like God,
it was
the cousin one.
Yeah, it was like the number of things your cousin said when you tried to kiss her.
Like 10 things not to say to your cousin when you're trying to kiss her when you go into Falls Peak, Virginia, or something like that. Yeah. But it's all these Google searches of like, how do you kiss your cousin? Or like, what do you do if you think your cousin is hot?
Yeah, there's like an insane variety of sick like cousin related.
I think we got a lot of traffic early on from the phrase penis torture, and just people looking up different variations on the word butt was pretty good.
Yeah, we get a lot of like celebrity name and then butt. So like it's like any celebrity you can think of and then the word butt. And
Steve does a weekly or a monthly post that's like top however many phrases that got people into the site.
So how do you translate that success then? Like, are you like you said, you're not in it for the traffic, right? But how do you gauge? Right.
Well, I was most definitely kidding about the traffic. I am in it for the traffic, very very much so, very much so. I think, I mean, as far as like a next step goes, I want to as you know, as I don't know, as corporate as it might say, it's like, you know, the next step would be, all right, how can we monetize this to where we can actually, you know, help out the people who are helping us and like writing for us on a daily basis and like, you know, being key cogs in the machine.
That's a really nice way of putting it, Steve. That you're in for the money.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
I just want to like get a bunch of money so I can give back to the community. You know.
Yeah.
Trying to build that food shelter.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to secure that place in heaven, man. I'm trying to do everything I can.
But like, how do you figure out what is funny? You know, like you're writing all these articles and you see like, well, this article did really well, but maybe that's just because it has a celebrity's name in it. Versus, well, I thought this was hilarious, like the best thing I've written all year, but it got hardly any traffic. But maybe it's because it didn't have a celebrity's name in it.
I mean, maybe this isn't very scientific, but what I do when I'm looking for, so you know, we have all these social media channels, and you just have to keep publishing stuff. So we end up posting maybe some articles from a year ago. And what I'll do is I'll just do like a random search on our site over and over and over again until I find an article that makes me laugh. And I mean, that's always, to me, what the success is like an article that makes me laugh.
Yeah, you just kind of have to trust your own taste at some point, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely what it is. I think if like, I think Robot Butt would not be nearly as successful or get on the path to being successful if like we were concerned about like, oh well, we want to make jokes just like The Onion, or we want to like do this, like we saw this, so we like we don't want to go and say like, well, let's go make a bunch of jokes about Joe Biden because The Onion does that. So like, there, you know, it is an element of like, I love satirical news, but I think we have a voice that's different.
Now, if anyone from The Onion is listening, we can be more oniony. If you're looking for
right, that's true. We'll abandon this so fast.
So what's not worked then? What kind of I guess potholes have you come across on the way?
It's a slog. It is really. I guess I don't know if it's like what hasn't worked, but so much as like. Well, I'm just thinking there are so many days where like you'll look at like maybe traffic numbers or like stuff that like you go through like 4 Facebook posts in a row that have like no one saying anything, or like there are a lot of days where you're like, man, this is like really hard.
Or you post an article that you love, or like an article you love gets posted to Reddit, and it just gets downvoted to nothing, and all the comments are like, this is garbage. This is so stupid. Or there was that one that was like, these losers think they can just get a WordPress site and compete with The Onion. Like, oh my God, that is what we thought. Oh!
Yeah, that was our exact thinking.
Get out of my head, Reddit.
Yeah, I think it's I think it is like that daily. Like we've gotten to a point where we're able to post nearly every single day, multiple pieces of content per day, and it's really hard that like you're like, well, okay, I just want to have like 100,000 Facebook fans right this second. I want to have like 10,000, 20,000 Twitter followers. Like I just want it right now, and you know, and I want to have like everybody retweeting my stuff without having to work for it at all. And I think that's part of why a lot of similar sites might not work out or might fail because they might give up. Like I think we've been at it for almost 2 years now, and I think we're starting to see like what sticking to it every single day will do. In terms of like, people are starting to kind of know our name. They're starting to go to the site more often. Where people want to write for us, and so and I don't know when that process will end of like really like slogging through the mud, but little win
now, Steve.
Yeah, tomorrow. I think tomorrow's the one. But stuff like the Chris Rock post wouldn't just happen, I think, to like any little site. I think the Chris Rock thing was a testament to like, we work really hard and we put together a good product, and like it looks professional, and it's not like you couldn't go to any article on the site and see it riddled with grammatical errors or look like crap.
Yeah.
It looks like a good site. It looks like you would believe that we're reporting on Chris Rock news. So I think that's big.
Well, I think it's like most in this day and age, you hear all like everybody wants to go viral and think that once I get one little thing to randomly get popular, then I'm set. But you never hear about those people after that day. Whereas
that's very true. Like that Unky Steve thing we did.
Yeah.
We are not famous for that at all. That immediately dropped off and
Tell me
disappeared.
about that. Who's Unky Steve?
Yeah, right. Exactly. For Steve's bachelor party over the summer, we all went to Vegas, and so for like a month before that, his boss and I were trying to figure out like what can we do that's like real goofy, and one of the ideas that came up was, what if we got a billboard like in Vegas on the Strip? And so we started looking around, and I found this billboard company that would let you rent out a billboard for a day, digital billboard. It was just like one block over from the Strip, and so obviously we did that. So we designed a site.
What was on the billboard? Tell us.
The billboard was a big picture of Steve, and then it said, it was like an ad for Unky Steve's genital wart remover, and then there was the catchphrase or the tagline for the company was "Rub out the bumps," and there was a quote that said like, "My wife won't have any excuses anymore." It was a big picture of Steve like doing this. And then that led to a ruboutthebumps.com, which is a real site with a bunch more pictures of Steve. And so we like took a bunch of photos as we were going and got Steve's reaction and stuff, put it on Reddit, and it ended up at like as the very top post. A ton of like huge sites wrote about it. There were like articles being written about it in China, which was pretty nuts.
Conspiracy theories.
Super good time, Bachelor Boys, whole #1 fun prank.
And there were conspiracy theories too, right?
There were conspiracy theories because in one picture, Steve had a box of Coors, and so half the people who saw this were 100% sure it was a viral Coors ad.
They were so sure that it was a Coors ad that they got the Reddit moderators to take down the post because they thought they were like, yeah, like, we're gonna take down Coors for doing this and we're gonna get it off that front page. And it was like,
fuck you,
man.
Coors, for trying to make me laugh.
So yeah, they really won one over on us because they got our post taken down. But
oh man, but they like looked up Danny Cox's, who's like one of the guys there. They found him somehow, and then they found an old resume from like when he was just about to graduate college, and on it was one line where like he was doing some marketing that like loosely related to Coors. That was obviously like a college kid was putting this together, trying to make himself sound hireable, and they connected the dots, and they saw it all fits. This is Coors. This is Coors advertising.
But to your point though, like you were famous for a day, and then that was it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. Yeah, it was like we had our fun with the one thing, and then it was like everybody moves on to the next thing. It's like anything in the news. It's like, oh, that was awesome, and then all right, well, what's next? You know?
Right.
There's nothing
So-
left but Steve's wedding, which I guess was a bit of a letdown after that.
Yeah.
So I heard the best man gave a hell of a speech.
Yeah. Word on the street was that that was true.
But to bring it back to Robot Butt, to become any sort of like viable media outlet, it is a grind. You can't just rely on like one sporadic event to
Yes.
catapult you to fame, right?
So even like that Chris Rock thing or the Miranda Kerr thing, like, or the Freddy Krueger article we did, like those were all big, and then they don't like have any sustaining traffic. The only benefit is you get exposed to a few extra people that will be willing to come back to the site.
Right. You just gotta get those few that of the masses that come. Hope that a few stick around for the long haul.
The smart ones do, Brad.
So what? I'm curious about some of your personal tastes. What you think is funny, if you will. Just not necessarily in terms of other websites or.
Well, here's the issue, I think, for Steve and I. Steve, if you don't mind me speaking for you, is that we both have such a refined comedy palette at this point that we don't find anything funny anymore.
That's our curse. That's the curse.
We can never laugh.
I think it still is like the pinnacle of funny for me is it's like everybody's, but The Simpsons season 1 to like 10 to 12, like I still go back and watch those, and I'm still like,
Oh wow, The Simpsons, Steve. Oh, cool.
well, gee,
a lot
I
of
don't
people.
know. Yeah,
Everybody,
Brad asked me a
listen up.
question.
You got something to learn
Oh,
from
yeah.
this guy.
Yeah. Well, Brad asked me a question, not you. So. I have no obscure comedian that I can be like, oh yeah. This
I'm
guy.
not looking for like what's your inside tip, guys.
Yeah, I'm
just to get like a sense of your background, like where you're coming from, like like growing up, like what kind of stuff. Like as a kid, you're like, oh, this is funny, and I want to watch more of this or hear more of this.
Well, going back to The Simpsons, I will say that a lot of friends that I knew actually weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons when they were young. That like their parents just for whatever reason said they couldn't watch it; it was too adult. And my parents, not just with The Simpsons, but like any comedy really, there was never any restriction on like what I was allowed to watch or what I could see with them. Like we watched Seinfeld together when I was a kid, and I can distinctly remember like some of the last season's episodes watching them with my parents. And I think like just in a general sense, it's pretty awesome that my parents let me just like watch anything I wanted, within like a certain extreme boundary. But like they were like, yeah, you can watch The Simpsons, you can watch Seinfeld, you can watch Friends, all these like risque kind of more adult sitcoms maybe. They let me watch them, and I don't know. I think that probably shaped a lot of how I felt about comedy, and I was lucky to like kind of fall into a group of friends that like just like to goof around, and that goofing around ended up turning into like, oh, we could like do this on camera, and then just kind of like fell from there. But
Well, I really shouldn't let Steve go first here because he just like stole everything.
yes, oh yes, I saw your notes.
Oh my God! Yeah, growing up, it definitely was like all the stuff people our age laughed about, like Seinfeld and The Simpsons, and then for me, it was a lot of definitely my family, like my mom's sense of comedy, sense of humor. I think I pulled from, and then maybe like authors like Douglas Adams and whoever else. I don't know.
I read a lot of Mad
But no,
Magazine,
I think
too.
more than anything, it's been like hanging out with the people that write on the site, and before that, the people that we did those comedy sketches with, Steve and our friend Dan and our friend Brian, who's a writer for RobotBot now. It's just like
So you started off making videos and now do the website
yeah, yep.
and
We
no
still
more.
get-
No more
still
videos.
get-
NoDiceFilms.com. Check it out. Oh no, we don't own that site anymore. Actually,
Yeah, that's
you
gone.
just have to look up No Dice Films.
Yeah. We still try to get together every now and then and make some sketch comedy. We should do more of it, but we live on different states and stuff, and I went and got married, so.
So stupid.
I know. And
Julia, tell her I said that
yeah.
your marriage is stupid.
Oh, dude, please no.
Is there any sort of end goal for Robot Butt or what you're doing here, or just kind of keep on keeping on?
I'm just waiting for Steve to give up so I can walk away and go play Fallout. I don't know.
Yeah, assume total control. Well, I think the end goal would be to I think be in the same league as I would love for Robot Butt to be considered in the same or talked about in the same vein as BuzzFeed, The Onion, these massive media sites. But I want to be talked about in the comedy sense that it's a site where you can literally write about anything. We'll do eventually spread out and do podcasts about anything. We'll do more sketch comedy. I want it to be like I said before, a collective of comedy where there are different voices, different people writing about different stuff. Because a lot of the people even on the site now that we have going for us, they have different interests. Tim likes to write about video game stuff, and he does it really well, and it's really funny. And I don't even like video games. And Linton is another writer who likes to write a lot about music and obscure movies and stuff. So being able to compile all these different voices together, I think, is a really cool, next step to where we can take that to an even bigger level. I don't know. I mean, I think we can. It's an internet site, so I think we can go as far as we want as we stick with it.
Do you see yourself more as I guess kind of a tastemaker with this and trying to compile all these different types of media in the end, and thinking rather than writing too much yourself, more finding these different people who are funny in these different areas and kind of bringing them all together under your site?
Well, I have started to. There are a lot of people in the sports media realm that I really like that are really hilarious when it comes to the sports world, and I've talked to them a little bit, and we've gone back and forth on potentially doing some stuff. But I mean, these guys that I think objectively are just so much funnier when it comes to making jokes about sports than I ever could be, and so I'm not so egotistical, I hope, to where I'm I'll just do what they do and just copy it for us. I love it.
I think that's not to say that we would ever want to stop creating the content, because I think that's one of the most fun parts about it. It is really great to see all these people you brought together, working together and building something that's getting attention, but writing those jokes is, I think, what brought us into it originally.
Oh yeah, I don't ever want to stop doing any of the work and coming up with the jokes and stuff. I think there are I want to bring more women on the site because it's an obviously underrepresented group on our site, and so I've tried to get some of our friends in on it, and they've written a little bit. I've had a few female friends write some stuff, but that's just one of those things where it's that's a voice I'd like to represent better on the site. But yeah, that's not to say that I don't want to ever stop writing jokes, because that's what we got into it. It's I don't want to stop why we got into it in the first place.
Did you ever, or do you see yourself going into other formats like stand-up or improv or anything like that?
I think we've many times talked about how we're not nearly brave enough to do stand-up.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I always go back and forth, but I don't know. That might just not be for me. I would be. I don't know. Definitely.
I would love to have done stand-up and be able to know what that experience is like, but it just seems like the most terrifying thing in the world.
Well, guys, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Oh, yeah. So the last thing's going to be me talking about how scared I am about something?
I like to end on a real high note.
Yeah, really. But if we ever do try stand up and we go out or we get get good at it or get big at it, and that's the thing that will show up. Oh man. Yeah, well, guess what? I'm always going to be afraid of it, so I don't care. Let the world know.
So,
I've got lots of fears. That's only one of them.
That'll be a different show. We'll just devote that to your fears. So the site is robotbutt.com.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
thanks
sir.
for confirming that.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Not robotbutt.blogspot.com or anything like that.
No, don't go there. I don't know what's there.
We're this close to getting a robotbutt.org, .org.gov. We're close, but
.edu.
yeah.
It's a little university project we're putting together, but I don't know if we can say too much about it just now.
And then any other personal stuff you want to plug?
That is my personal thing. I don't know. I could go the opposite way and talk more about work.
That's all right.
No, I'm gonna plug my marriage. I think marriage is cool. Other than that, I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's been great.
You bet.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
All right. I will see you guys later.
All right. Talk to you later, man.